io quel che dico e quel che faccio e pure dopo forzati e tu forcerò tu sei pagliaccio. La tuba era fatta in farina, la gente paga e rider vuole questi arlechin, tutti volo colombina, ridi pagliato e ognuno t'applaudirà. Tramuta e latti lo spasmo ed il pianto e non asmartia il singhiozzo e il dolor ridi pagliaccio sul tuo amore il freddo ridi del duol che t'avvelerà il cor.
Do you want to sound like everyone else when you sing? Or
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
do you want to sound like everyone else when you sing? Or do you want to have your unique voice? Your voice that is truly you. I'm going to give you my 3-step formula to finding your true voice
Your true
and
voice.
get rid of the competition. Welcome
Huh.
back.
That sounds like a bunch of bullshit. But it's a good thing the bullshit inspector has arrived. Mr. Opera, bullshit inspector, at your service.
Do you want to sound
Hi,
like
and
everyone
welcome
else when you
to
sing?
Mr. Opera, also known as the Bullshit Inspector. My name is Mr. Opera, and today I'll be your bullshit inspector. We're going to be looking at the lovely Miss Rapanan today from, let me see if I get the name of her channel correct here. I think it's like Healthy Vocal Technique or something like that. She'll probably plug it a lot. And I'm going to have to apologize ahead of time if today's stream leaves you a little bit less intelligent than you were before you watched the stream. I like to think of myself as like helping educate people, and the goal is usually try to make people smarter. But I think some people, the things that they have to say are such bullshit that if you're not careful, just hearing it can make you stupid, can make you dumber. But before we get to that, we've just got a couple housekeeping things to take care of. The next little section we're going to do is a user request. We're going to take a look at John Vickers and Kaufman, and I'm going to be reacting, doing like a fresh react. I haven't actually watched these. I kind of downloaded them and queued them up because there was a claim from one of the viewers that they have a similar sound, and I don't hear it. But then a second viewer chimed in, and said that they also hear a similarity between John Vickers and Jonas Kaufman. So we're going to take a look at some John Vickers and Jonas Kaufman today. And they're both going to be singing the flower aria from Carmen as the example that we're looking at. And we got both, but we've got both on video, but probably this this, I don't know if this Vickers is actually live. Probably not. But anyway, that's that. So, and before we get to that, I just wanted to mention that if you want your singing to be reviewed or whatever, you'd like to get people's comments on it. I mean, my comments, of course, but not just my comments. Viewer comments. And you'd like to send some video or audio without video, whatever you want. And if you have video and you want me to blur your face so you can't be recognized or whatever, that's fine. But it gives you a chance to have people hear your things anonymously, as in you're anonymous, instead of the This Is Opera model that we had before, which was that everyone could see you, but the people making comments were invisible. In this case, you're going to be more invisible, I guess, or at least as invisible and as anonymous as the people making the comments. So it evens the playing field a little bit. And of course, I can make my comments if you'd like. I can talk about what I see and what I hear. But I think it's maybe a way to expose your singing to an audience a little bit without worrying about your name being attached to it. And I guess you just have to trust me that I won't reveal who you are. Or you can, take some steps and be truly anonymous when you send me your stuff. Yeah. So if you'd like to do that, I can even compare you to John Vickers if you want. You can sing stuff that I sang, and then we can put side by sides of you and me singing it if you want, and we can talk about what we see and try not to completely lose our shit about it. Yeah. So at the moment, let's just. I'm gonna check my stream health here, make sure everything's working. Everything appears to be working. So we're gonna just go on here. So up first we have John Vickers, and I'm gonna have to do this view, I think, because copyright stuff. So we're gonna have to stay with this small view of John Vickers, and feel free to make your comments. The live comments are up there behind me, and yeah, so let's get to it. John Vickers up first, singing the flower song from Carmen. Fast forward a bit. That's okay. Okay, yeah, okay. Actually, I see it now. I think it was Paul. Paul was the name of who was saying he heard a resemblance. And in this kind of singing, I think so, yeah. In this softer singing, I hear it right now, yeah. He doesn't. So, something to point out here is, and I think maybe it'll get less similar when he's putting metal into the voice. But in this soft singing, the mouth opening is really small. You can see, and he's in neutral mode. So there's no metal in the sound right now. And his lips are actually moving more like like what we saw with Kaufman yesterday. So that's really interesting. Of course, this wasn't when I think it's I hope your name's Paul. Jeez, I hope your name's Paul. But when he mentioned Vickers, what I had in mind was his big singing. I wasn't thinking about this, but I definitely I get you now. Okay. And we're still not we're still in neutral here. Now the metal's coming into the voice. So to me that's quite different from Kaufman. The closed quotient isn't as high, so his vocal fold contact doesn't sound as long to me. So it's almost like it's like it would be breathy if we were in a, or it would be more veiled. It's not breathy, but if you kept raising the open quotient, eventually it would be, except that this would have to change modes too in order to do that. And so despite the closed quotient, I think, not being as high as Kaufman from yesterday, the metal is much more. Kaufman was often not having metal in this when he's going for the same volume range. So the effect is really different, and the ring is not coming from this kind of thing. Just make sure my just trying to stop my background music here. All right. So we can maybe fast forward. We got the picture here. Okay. That's what we want. That's to me quite dissimilar from anything Kaufman comes up with. Just not the same. Well, we'll see. We'll see the differences in a second. The big part of it, I think, is Vickers is shortening his vocal tract a little bit from below. Let's take a look again where his larynx is. It's not at the lowest it could be, I think. Oh yeah, that's pretty low. So that's all the way down. We can I wonder if it would help to zoom in. I don't have that set up right now. Probably not. Let's just look on the bigger screen. That helps a bit. So let's see what his larynx is doing. This might be overdubbed, but I think he's really singing. He's singing something. Yeah, it's staying down. Yeah. So he's doing, I call it larynx diving. The sound is a bit rounded from the mouth not being as extreme as it could be. So a little bit of the in there. But it's coming from the rounding of his lips. And he's not so much he has to pull his tongue back at the root in order to get that metal in the voice. So kind of I guess you could say towards the hyoid bone, or I'm not exactly sure how exactly how metal is achieved with the lower larynx. I just know that it is done. And he's doing that here. And if he started to do the Kaufman strategy, the metal would be reduced and the ring would start to come more from this knurtle type thing. So let's see if there's, kind of go through and, oh, what happened? What has happened? Let me see if I can restart it. Okay, let's see what we can see here. I don't hear it in this range. At this volume level, I don't. We're not in Kaufman territory, so, but I get you with the softer stuff. I hear it. I think if you watch them do the rest of this scene, the similarities would be so much less. There's just, I don't have it queued up, but I bet you the rest of the scene shows the differences in production really clearly. But let's see what we can see from Kaufman here. So here's Kaufman. Okay. Oh, that's really quiet. See if I can turn this up here. 1 second, guys. Let me see what I can do about this volume. Talk amongst yourselves. I don't think there's anybody in right now. Get some background music here. Well, I work. Okay. And I'll be right back, guys. I'm gonna try to get this volume.
Do you everyone else when you sing, or do you want to have your
All right, I think I got this gain figured out here. It should be a bit louder. I have to get here. Yeah, I I don't hear that so much. When Vickers is being quiet, the sound is more breathy, and he's not trying to project so much. And he's not really using this knurly thing, which is really distinct. And I guess it's part of how Kaufman gets his close quotient up higher. And I get it, a little bit of this thing, a little bit of this, but that doesn't seem functional. That seems like, just a little bit of color. And he's actually, I would say he's maybe louder than Vickers here in this section, or he's anyway louder for in his volume range. Oh, yeah. So yeah. Okay, I can hear this kind of thing is a little bit in common, but I don't really get it, guys. So let's see. Let's see a bit more.
Do you want to sound like everyone?
I think I went to the next. Yeah, okay. Here we go. No, I really don't hear it. I just really don't hear it. I mean, if you're saying Mario Lanza, yeah. I hear the Mario Lanza here. And I think that's it's a little bit obvious, the Mario Lanza, but I don't hear Vickers here. Maybe someone stopped in the chat. And that's just not a position we'd see with Vickers. Let's take a look at Vickers' position there. See how much louder he is? It's not gain or anything. See? Here we go. Here it's coming. Here we go. Here we go. That's very, very different. You can see really clearly he's not lengthening his vocal tract from the lips. He's using a short vocal tract and a very metallic sound. And Kaufman doesn't do that. Let's watch it again.
Through a freestyle. There will
Here we go. This thing. Instead of like although Vickers is not doing this thing, more even not that. He's not as it's got a little higher open quotient than that a little bit. Maybe more metallic. But yeah. I'm not buying this. Let's see if the chat has anything to say. Oh, hi to Bear. Yeah, the idea is that Caruso is supposed to be turned off when someone else is singing. That's the way it's programmed, but it's not. It's not actually doing it every time. So I don't know what's up with that. It's intermittent Caruso. So sorry. Yeah. So that's these two. I don't think they're. I don't buy this thing. So let's get on with the
Do you want to
bullshit
sound
inspector.
like everyone else when you sing, or do you want to have your unique voice?
This is gonna be. Let's see.
Voice that is truly you.
Okay. The main concept here is gonna be about this. How to find your true voice. How to find your natural sound. And this is because we're talking about the bullshit heroes and James Randi the other day, and James Randi makes me think about not just all the different techniques that get used, but some of the themes that get repeated that voice teachers tend to use. They get passed down, I think, in the way that like psychics and mediums pass down their tricks to each other. It's a tradition. So finding your true voice is this old chestnut, this voice teacher tradition, because it's one of the best ways to extend the course of study, I guess, or it's one of the ways you can extend the course of study. So what I'd like to do for this one is I'll get my bullshit counter here. We need to put it in a better location. So let's put it there. It'll just be behind me here. Or we can put it behind the chat. How's that? We'll put there's gonna be our bullshit counter. And let's see. I don't have a separate counter for it, but let's see how often something actually gets defined that was an important thing. Like, so she makes it sound like it's an important thing and that the definition of it matters, but then there's no actual definition. She just kind of moves on and acts like she did define it and that everything she says makes sense. Oh, let's see. Okay, yeah. I'm going to check in with the chats real quick, because I can't see it so well on my screen. Okay, if everybody is okay with the way the sound is working, let's go on. Let's get on with this. So, here we go.
I'm going to give you my three-step formula.
Three-step formula.
Your true voice.
Finding
and
your true
get rid
voice.
of the competition. Welcome back to another edition of Victorious Vocal Tips.
The goals are, 1, finding the true voice, but 2, getting rid of the competition. I didn't know that was... Okay, I mean, I can't put it true or false, but those are just some interesting goals. Getting rid of the competition. I never knew that was actually a thing. I mean, I saw, like, we had This Is Opera and everything, and Desdemona was basically doing that. Like, she had a channel for helping to get rid of the competition, because you can go home at night after rehearsal, you know, and you can make a video about how much your competition sucks or whatever and try to get rid of them. But anyway, yeah, I didn't know that was a thing, getting rid of the competition, but okay.
1 years of teaching voice, 43 years of studying voice, all different styles.
Right.
My students have ranged from ultra beginners to
Okay, so now
advanced
the students is an important thing that her students, I guess, what about them? They range from
Professionals, voice teachers, choral directors, and competition winners. I always give
competition
you serious
winners.
vocal technique made simple and fun. So what is
so
true
far
voice
I'm really
even?
dizzy. I don't know what happened. So okay, so she's got a bunch of important students, I guess. But we don't see any of that. Okay, so that's important, but we're not gonna know anything about it. The competition winners and choral directors
Me.
and rank beginners. Okay.
How do we develop it? Is there a such thing as a fake voice? Well, what if I want to sing like Bugs Bunny? And what's up, Doc? What's cooking?
I don't have a Bugs Bunny clip handy. But if you did want to sing like Bugs Bunny, you just failed to sing like Bugs Bunny. So I don't know, do I put this... Do I make a true or a untrue or a bullshit for this? I mean, let's say... Oh, man. Not okay, so the points that she's making are not true or untrue. Like, what if you want to sing like Bugs Bunny? Okay, well, let's see what her answer to the question is. What if you want to sing like Bugs Bunny? Not that she's demonstrating a good Bugs Bunny sound. I can't do it either, but that's not it. But then what? Okay.
So, was that my true nat?
Let's let her finish her impression.
Well, what if I want to sing like Bugs Bunny? And what's up, Doc? What's cooking? So, was that my true natural
I don't
voice?
think that's Bugs
No,
Bunny.
I was
But is that...
copying Bugs Bunny. That was a funny.
Okay,
No,
so now the point...
I was copying Bugs' voice. No, I was copying Bugs Bunny.
Was that her
drove
true
my
and natural voice?
Natural voice? No, I was copying Bugs Bunny.
No.
That was a
She was
character
copying
voice.
Bugs Bunny. Untrue? And I mean, true and untrue? Oh, what happened? Okay, I'll be right back, guys. My bullshit counter's broken.
Do you want to sound
Okay, I'm back,
like
I'm back.
everyone else when you
I'm
sing?
back, and I think I got the... Let's see. So we had untrue. There it is. Well, she didn't sound like Bugs Bunny. And... well, that thing's all messed up. You know, that's when you're programming and it's... Okay. She was using her natural voice to do that. Like, what else is it like? Your supernatural voice? Is it... I don't know. What is the natural voice? What is it? Is it when you're not imitating? So as long as you're not imitating, then it's your natural voice? So what can she tell us about that? It's hard to comment on this because a lot of it's just like a word salad. But we're here looking at this not because it's exceptional, but because this is par for the course for a lot of professional teachers of singing. This is how they talk, and a lot of times this is pretty close to the exact stuff that they say, and I can help you predict if this is the stuff your teacher is going to be saying based on their biography, but let's go on.
Sound like everyone else when you sing, or do you want to...
Really terrible. It just restarts every time I go to this. Okay.
What if I want to sing like Bugs Bunny? That was a character voice. But So many singers spend their entire lives copying other singers, trying to sound just like them, and never find their own true voice. I find that sad.
I would say that in her case, so far that what she's demonstrated is trying to sound like another singer and then just failing to sound like that other singer. Or failing to do the sound that you set out to do, which is fine. But where does that come in with I don't get it. Natural voice, and it seems like we're setting something up that's supposed to give you power to be yourself. It's supposed to give you agency. But actually, it's taking it away from you. It's like an illusion of control. It's an illusion that you're making some kind of decision or expressing something about yourself that's unique.
Once you find the freedom in your own balanced voice, then you can start applying different styles and you will have more fun and have...
Now we've gone from... Okay, you can't imitate... Okay, wait. You don't want to imitate other people. You want to use your natural voice. And once you find your freedom, you can imitate other people? Or...
many more vocal choices. So, I'm going to give you...
Okay, so once you find your freedom, you can make many vocal choices, but not the choice of, I don't know, it's like deciding to sound like Tina Turner or something like that.
Steps.
You can choose. You can choose as long as you choose your natural voice. That's what it is. It's the only you have choice, but the thing you have to choose is your natural voice. And if you're not sure what your natural voice is, you can ask her, I guess.
Easy.
Let's see here.
Exercises. Oh, story time. I had a student with a big, beautiful,
let's say
voice.
That's probably true that she had a student.
And when she started with me, she always had a nice voice, but she used to sing a lot of Celine Dion songs, and she sounded tight. The throat was tight, the larynx...
She sounded tight. That used to mean drunk. By the way, back in the day, it used to be that when someone was tight, it meant they were drunk. But it doesn't mean that anymore. So, yeah, that's a shame. So you can't really make that joke anymore, but what does it mean? So we have subjective terms, and based on the subjective terms of sounding tight, she's not doing the subjective thing of singing with her natural voice. Okay.
Was high, and she sang kind of nasal like that, and it just became thin and whiny. Little by little.
Remember, though, she's lousy at doing impressions. So for all you know, it probably didn't sound like that.
We freed up her throat, and she began to sing with the fullness of her own voice. And today, she can go back and sing Celine Dion, Etta James, Cher, Ella Fitzgerald, and...
Okay, so thanks to singing with her natural sound and not imitating, she can imitate. That's some mighty bullshit.
Knock the socks off of everyone. She can even sing opera if she wants. She has the kind of voice that can sing anything. So what's the difference?
This person sounds like it might not actually be another person. Like she may be talking about herself. Maybe.
Between copying another singer versus emulating and loving your favorite singer.
Is there a difference between copying and emulating. There's no difference. Copulating, not copulating. Oh God, I'm gonna get my channel banned. Okay, there is a difference between copulating and emulating. But if you're emulating copulating, you're copying copulating. Because copying and emulating are the same thing. If you want to play old video games, you can get an emulator. That's basically, it copies all of the functions of the original computer that doesn't exist anymore. And it does them. And it's just like the original. It's an emulator. It's emulated because it's a copy. So just remember that copying is emulating. And if you emulate copulating, you've copied copulating.
Their style in your voice. Well, think of it. Whitney Houston listened to and emulated
Whitney Houston.
Aretha Franklin, Dionne Warwick.
I guess she found a Whitney Houston quote. But let's correct the quote. Whitney Houston copied Aretha Franklin.
Cissy Houston, Gladys Knight, and yet Whitney had her own signature style. There will never be another Whitney.
So because Whitney had her natural sound, it wasn't copying, it was emulating, which is the same thing, and which enables you to copy. If you get good enough at it, if you free your voice enough, then you can emulate or copy singers.
Amy Winehouse always talked about how she was influenced by Dinah Washington.
So
Bruno
now
Mars,
we're doing something that I hope is familiar, that This Is Opera was doing in their heyday, and doing it hard. They did this a lot. And notice she did a transition from talking about Amy Winehouse as if Amy Winehouse is a complete stranger, which she is, who has nothing to do with this or any of this, which she was. And now we're talking about Amy Winehouse as if it's like a quantity that you own that's here. It's like Amy Winehouse is in her pocket now. She did something called name dropping, and the name dropping makes you go, wow, right? But normally you would want to establish some kind of association with the name. So Seth Riggs, the guy who founded the singing system that she's teaching, I don't know if she uses the name, but it's called speech level singing. He taught Michael Jackson was the big thing, that he was selling himself as the teacher to Michael Jackson. And even Manuel Garcia was selling himself as the teacher to Jenny Lind. So that's the thing, name dropping, okay. But Manuel Garcia actually was the teacher of Jenny Lind, right? This person has nothing to do with Amy Winehouse, Whitney Houston, Tina Turner, or any of these names that she talks about. But she did a little magician's trick, I guess, where you took your eye off of what she was doing, and she started acting as if 2 minutes ago we established some kind of association with Amy Winehouse. As if that all got done already. And if she just keeps acting like that, the odds are you will start to think of what she's saying as the way to get to the Amy Winehouse sound, or the way to get to basically any sound that you want, which you will reach at some unknown point in the future by doing completely different things that have nothing to do with that. Because those things will help you find your freedom. Freedom isn't defined, but you'll find it, and when you find it, you'll be able to do this thing that isn't copulating. I mean, it isn't copying, it's emulating, and then you'll sound exactly like Amy Winehouse. Something like that. It's hard to make sense of what she's saying. And the reason it's hard to make sense is because it's put together and designed to not make sense. It's kind of intentional. If she said stuff that made sense, most of the people to whom this appeals would walk away. They take a whiff, and oh, that smells like effort, and it smells like standards and rigor and making commitments to a real process and frustration and all these things that come with actually building skills. They smell that and they run the other direction. But if you tell them things like this that don't make any sense, then you're sure not to challenge the brain, I guess, to make sense of things. And you create, nonetheless, the impression that this somehow leads to the result that they wanted. So they'll get the result, but the way that you're telling them they'll get to the result doesn't make any sense. And if it did, they would look at all the connections that you're talking about. They would look at the development you're talking about, and they would say, I can never do this. Just, yeah, that's how it works.
Was influenced by Michael Jackson. Michael Bublé is a current day Frank Sinatra.
But he's just emulating him.
These singers had their tonal models, but they did not copy those voices. They embodied the style in their...
It's funny. I think like there's a saying that if you're a thief, then everywhere you go, you see thieves. You're afraid of thieves. And I think that's kind of what this is. If you're a person who was kind of like obsessed with imitating other singers, but you don't actually ever have much success at imitating other singers, I imagine that would become front and center in your psychology. Like, it would become a really important thing to you, whether or not you're copying someone else. If somebody told me, like, well, you're copying Franco Corelli, I would be like, well, thank you. yes, thank you. You know, I think they would be too kind to say that, but I would certainly be flattered. So let's take a quick commercial break. I'm going to check the chats, and maybe one of you can feed my cat. So here we go. Oh, where's my commercial? All right, so I got some good comments here. Tibera said there's also a saying in German: a good artist borrows, a great artist steals, and I think that's really fantastic. That's a great saying. And from Metaphysical, okay, I've already had some really good laughs. I love the Caruso excerpts. Thanks, Metaphysical. Glad you're enjoying yourself. I think I'm having some laughs today too. I'm trying to keep it together with this. When I watch this video, my brain hurts. My brain wants things to make sense. You know, like whatever it is someone is saying, it wants it to make sense, and it struggles to do that, you know, no matter what. And in this case, it's a little bit exhausting. So you gotta laugh because, I mean, yeah.
voices. And that's what you need to do. There's only one of you in the whole world. There's only one voice like yours. So why copy anyone else? Copy
You know what's funny is, so now I'm gonna give this a giant bullshit, because remember what it was at the beginning? At the beginning, it was, well, you don't want to be one of these copiers, do you? And then it was really, really trashing the student's voice. The student that came in. Well, she says that she had a nice voice, but then she totally trashes her singing. So I think that's what this is. Oh God, I can't. Because like it's all about your unique sound, but then she's also reminding you that everything that's unique about you is stupid and how lame you are. And so it's like make you as insecure as possible, and then throw you the security. It's
stress.
We'll see these techniques a lot.
But when you sing in your own unique voice, you will have more fun, whether you are singing originals or covers.
So now the claim is this is getting. Now this is true. True? I don't know. True. It's. I mean, it's bullshit. But, now we're staking out the claim. Now is no longer that you're going to be able to sound like these people. It's that you're going to sing whatever you want and you're going to have fun. But what if fun to you is like doing a proper Bugs Bunny impersonation? Or, I mean, that it just seems weirdly agreeable but dominant. Like she's setting up this whole natural voice thing basically because she's going to be deciding what's natural. It's not so much natural as like you're going to fit in with her. Let's
entire year university course, but I'm going to break it all down into one.
We gotta rewind.
Originals or
she's going to tell us about it.
Ours was influenced by Michael Jackson. Michael Bublé is a current day Frank Sinatra. These singers had their tonal models, but they did not copy those voices. They embodied the style in their own voices.
Let's just give her another bullshit.
There's only one of you.
They embodied the sound in their own voice.
There's only one voice like yours. So why copy anyone else?
So there's only one voice like yours, and yet it's possible to sound like someone else. How is it possible to sound like someone else if there's only one voice in the world? It really implies that what's going on is she's familiar with people, possibly herself, who are bad at emulating or copying. So they're bad at copying, and they get bad results from copying. And so they have this impression that anyone who's emulating is going to get bad results. But if you're copying someone's vocal coordination and you actually succeed, how could you sound like anything other than yourself singing successfully with the vocal coordination that you wanted to sing with? It doesn't make sense.
Stressful. But when you sing in your own unique voice, you will have more fun, whether you are singing originals or covers.
Okay.
So this can be an entire year university course, but I'm going to break it all down into one video and give you my
An entire
3
year
steps.
university in one video. I guess the core curriculum won't be there. We're not going to do liberal arts. It's just going to be an entire year of singing lessons, I guess, with your speech level singing teacher. Okay.
If you want more, make sure to go to my longer video on Find and Develop Your True Voice.
Oh my God, I
Step
didn't know there
one,
was a longer
to find
video.
your true
Well,
and balanced tone.
we should have
you
watched
must
that.
find
Okay.
your open throat. I saw something
Here we
online
go.
the other day.
Well, okay, I can't mark it yet. Well, this is bullshit. But okay, but it's gonna get worse.
Someone said there's no such thing as an open throat, and I just
course
never
there's such
heard
a
of
thing as an
anything
open
so
throat.
crazy. Of course there is. It's not like we open the throat and poke a hole in it. Of course not. You can sing through a tight throat. You can sing through a free and open throat. Open just means
It's true. That's true. You can sing through a tight throat, or you can sing through a really, really open throat and make sure all of the air comes out really fast. That's true.
free without the squeeze. The throat is the largest resonator. So of course,
So
you don't
again, with the squeeze, and now without the squeeze. See how much better it is?
want that throat to be tight. So that's why
Caruso's
you need
back.
to find your free and open throat. Exercise 1. We're just
Okay.
going to speak the 5 standard English singing vowels. A, E, O, U. With your nice
So the
open
5
throat.
vowels were A, E, O, and U. So I guess it's 3 vowels and 2 diphthongs, or does that count as 7 vowels? I don't know. Okay.
Moderate volume, good energy. Here we go. A, E, O, U. Great. You want to have
A. It's okay. I guess it's
energy and ease when you sing. Now, we're going to do our spoken siren on the 5 vowels, like this.
okay. The spoken siren.
Ah,
Okay,
you could do
this
it
is
higher.
boring. Let's get to where she's bullshitting.
Oh,
Okay.
do it in your own range. Here we go, everybody. Ah,
Okay.
It's your larynx, your voice box, just floating. Was steady steps.
Yes.
And then we're going to do 4 and give you a squeeze. The throat is the largest resonator. So
Okay, here we go.
On Find and Develop Your True Voice. Step 1. To find your true and balanced tone,
The throat-
you must find your open
Throat is the
someone
largest
said there's no
resonator.
such thing as an open throat, and
That gets
I guess
an
I've never
untrue.
heard of anything so crazy. Of course there is. It's not like we
mean, there's
open the
just
throat
one
and poke a hole
resonator.
in it. Of course not.
Well, I
you
mean-
can sing through a tight throat. You can sing through
Yeah.
a free and open throat. Open just means
We've got just one vocal tract, I guess. You could think of like the nose, that's like a second resonator. But it's changing the resonance of the first one. And then you could think of like piriform fauce, I guess. Those are like little resonators. But then when you're thinking about the voice and acoustics, it's just one tube. It's like you wouldn't think of a trumpet as having 2 resonators. And the voice is quite similar.
your voice box just floating with ease. If you have trouble, see my playlist on throat tension. I'll include all links
Throat
in the
tension.
description box below. Step 1 was your open throat. Step 2, find your frontal
Buzz.
Can we hum with space between the molars so we're not doing it between our teeth, okay? And feel that buzz in the front of the
I get the
face.
feeling she really hates us. Just she does these scowls when she. I don't know. Why do you get that? I just have this feeling like she hates me. Actually. Okay, metaphysical. Yeah, sorry about my Freudian slips. But it's a good mnemonic to remember copulating and emulating. But we don't want to emulate her copulating emulation. I just better stop.
So it's not about singing nasal, and it's not about shoving the voice forward. I find when people do that, they're usually really tight and they wind up nasal. It's about
I don't-
getting the focus.
So if you're humming, that's bullshit. I mean, humming is nasal. It's the whole point of humming is that it opens the nose. It's like that's the whole point of going mum 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 mum. Is that you start and end the vocalization with a nasal sound, which guarantees, well, not doesn't guarantee, but it encourages the nose to be open the whole time. That's why they do that. 'Cause it helps you be nice and light because you're a speech level singing teacher.
The ring and ping of the voice.
The
which
ring
is
and
where
ping.
the excitement is and gives you that carrying power.
Official
Think of it
acoustic
as the
terms, ring and
treble
ping.
knob in your voice, which intensifies the brightness.
Think of it as-
gives you that carrying power. Think of it as the treble knob in your
There's a
voice.
treble knob
which
in your-
intensifies the brightness. So,
Oh God, I should have set up the EQ here. The treble knob in the voice.
we're
Let's see.
going-
Do I have EQ on this? Can I mess around with the? Let's see. No, I don't. I don't have it set up, guys. So that's some bullshit. There's no treble knob in the voice. I mean, this is so dumb.
hum and go to a 5-tone scale. I'm not even going to step over the piano.
Okay, whatever.
So here we go.
Step 2.
Now, turning up the bass in your voice. You know, every
Turning
voice
up the
turns
bass.
to a fuller
Okay,
voice.
so here-
Find your
we're ba-
So step 1 was find your
As
open and
silly
free.
as it is, there's actual accepted vocal pedagogy concepts that are in this that shouldn't be. It's unfortunate that they're accepted. They're basically unquestioned. And they're based on fantasy acoustics. And that idea is the 2-tube model of vocal resonance. So the idea is that the voice is kind of the resonance of the voice comes from 2 areas or 2 tubes, as you can think of them. And they have their own kind of discrete areas. So you have a big area in the throat, I guess, that is one of the tubes, and then the other tube next to it is a smaller tube. And like a wine glass, each tube has its own resonant frequency, and when you combine them together, you got a big one and a small one, so you got dark and bright, chiaroscuro, or something like that. And that's just not how resonance works. And it's really obviously not how the vocal tract works. And then, to boot, they make physical models out of these, because you can, any model you can think of how the voice works, well, you can like 3D print it or make, you just build a resonator that has 2 tubes and then another tube connecting them so you can slide and change the length of the tubes. And it does make something like some vowels, but not like your voice does. It makes like oh, or like versions of oh, or something like that. And then by the time you're getting vowels, you had to have like 90 tubes or whatever. I don't know how many it is. There's a 3-tube model, and it still doesn't make anything really close to vowels. But then if you just have a rubber tube and you start bending it, you can get a whole lot closer to talking. And that's because there's only one tube. So any physical models with just one tube work more like the voice. But anyway, It's a big bullshit coming this morning.
Throat. Step 2, find your frontal buzz. Step 3, find your back space.
The back space.
Meaning the back of the throat. What's this for? Well, it gives you a fuller bodied tone. This is now turning up the bass in your voice. You know, every voice needs to have an element of top and bottom to it. Treble and bass, just like the way you listen to music.
What about mids?
Again, we're working on your default,
Where do the mids go?
your habitual way of singing, which you can then adjust for whatever kind of style you want to sing. So before we do our
so that's a giant bullshit, and she just chucks it in there. But that's a huge speech level singing bullshit right there, and also taught by opera singers all over the world who want to get some extra money from voice lessons, but the student is not an opera singer. And they tell them something like, oh, if you can sing opera, you can sing anything. And then, well, we'll see how that goes. Most of the time, these teachers are also bad at opera. That's true. They're bad at opera and every other kind of singing. Often voice teachers are like worse at singing than the average person who never took a voice lesson. That's true. But usually they're classical singing teachers. And often they make this claim that because they learned with this concept or whatever, and they found their natural voice and some kind of subjective thing that they call freedom or whatever, they believe they can sing anything. And unfortunately, sometimes they do try to sing anything. But let's see here.
exercise, we're going to speak, and you have your choice. You can either speak yeah, 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 or yeah, yeah, yeah. But I'll you and behind you
giant
like
bullshit
this.
there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think she
yeah,
already
yeah, yeah.
She already got a bullshit on that, but there's just no separate resonators. Just like there's no such thing. That's more philosophical, I guess, saying that there's no such thing as your natural voice. Because you could say, well, there's a feeling of something being unnatural, like when a suit doesn't fit you, there's something weird about it. But it's still subjective. So, okay. But this is not subjective when it comes to like how the actual vocal tract works. And unfortunately, this is taught in universities too. It's like quite literally, people are getting up in universities and teaching something that in the physics department would be wrong. But because they're in the music department, it's okay. So there we go.
See, that's push.
So yeah, some exercises, whatever. That's
to
boring.
me, lower voice. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Step on throat. So now we're ready for exercise 4. Actually, I made this up just before I started recording this video. Let's try the same thing.
What's interesting
on B-Y-A. Y.
I understand these are exercises that could be used for something. But it's interesting that these are presented as the way to find your natural sound. Like why is this the way to find your natural sound? This is just absurd. Some absurd non-copulatory. If you don't want to copulate, I think this is maybe a good way to think about your singing. If you don't want to copulate, maybe that's where they got turned around. Their prophet told them, sing this way and you'll never be copulating. And then the guy misheard it, and he heard, you'll never be copying. Yeah.
B-Y-A. The B gives you your energy in the front. Also, it helps to arch the soft palate just the right amount. And the helps to open up the back of the throat. Here we go. Bia, 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 bia.
I don't even know what to put here. She's just making stuff up. But
You have your
this is
open throat,
also
your
quite typical, you know, where you name some vowel or something and then some effect that it has. And that effect is like, it's a mix between something that exists and something that couldn't possibly. So it's just very, very interesting. And by the way, if you watch my videos on visualizing vocal acoustics, the size of the area of the voice, so what she calls the throat resonator, often it gets darker as you make it smaller. So just an interesting thing there. If you were trying to conceive of that area as a separate resonator, it's very weird that they do that, because as you constrict it, the voice gets darker. It lowers resonance. Anyway.
buzz in the front and your space in the back of the throat. So working this way will help solidify your default in singing, to which you can
It
then
will help solidify your default.
apply to different styles, different vocal colors, and be influenced by your favorite singers without
So you go
needing
ba
to
ba ba
copy.
and nya 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 or whatever, ya ya ya. Couple of things. There's a couple of exercises that I don't know why that's different from just singing a song or something. That's going to help you find your natural sound. And now, thanks to that, you'll be able to sing anything. That's a big claim. Really big claim.
Them. Listen to this. Ma chérie amour, lovely as a summer day, summertime.
That's it's kind of like the Bugs Bunny imitation as far as being close to the, okay.
And the living is easy. I'm going back someday.
It's really the projection. I think there's probably some singers out there. I know there's singers. There's, if you put on Katrina Velarde, for instance, is that her name? As Filipino lady, I don't know. She can sing freaking anything. Doesn't sing opera, so I don't say opera, but she can sing. She could sing all of these things that are being demonstrated, and really sound close to the original. This is not close.
Ma chérie amour,
So it's like a projection.
lovely as a
No,
summer day,
my
summertime.
copulating was
And the
bad.
living
Emulating
is easy.
Was bad.
I'm going back someday.
Oh God.
Come what may to Blue Bayou.
I don't want to be. I don't want to be cruel here, but that's she's a professional who's advertising that she can help you emulate these singers, but I don't think she's very close to emulating anyone.
If you want to see more of my performances,
I think the opera is not quite. Okay.
in
She's
different
just-
styles,
she's just
and also see
demonstrating
some of my
like this.
awesome
The opera was
students
the closest
see my
one.
playlist on performances
Of the things that
healthiest
she
way
did.
to sing in different styles, different vocal colors, and
So maybe
different
not a
vocal
speech level
textures
singing
is to find your
person.
true and unique.
It's hard to tell
voice
because
first.
the this New York school of classical singing that started with Douglas Stanley becomes speech level singing. They say exactly the same things. And then I guess this singing that she just did was more it's more open throat than the way she speaks, I guess. But very,
Cover
very interesting.
this in my audio training program.
Okay, well, let's let her plug
Victoria's
herself.
Vocal exercise program. I give you tons of exercises that will keep you busy.
Victoria's
for a very long
vocal
time.
exercise
I
program,
also
guys.
offer
Go
periodic
and
group
get it.
classes to members.
You'll find your true
It is
voice,
now time for
and you never have to worry
Victoria's wisdom.
about copulating
Every
again.
voice is unique. There is no other voice like yours in the world. Your
But if you're not
voice
careful-
is as unique as your
If you're not
finger-
careful, though, it will be. You'll sound like everyone. You'll sound not just like one other person, but you'll sound actually like everyone else at the same time.
Print. So rejoice and get to know your own voice.
Rejoice and
you
get to
will
know
have
your own voice.
Many, many more choices and fun.
But copulating isn't
I
one
hope
of
you have
them.
enjoyed another edition of
Okay. So let's just take a quick look at what is this, singing anything.
Do you want to sound
Let's see. So now we're gonna do some emulating of Tina Turner. Yeah. And I mean, give her +2 because it's karaoke, so it's harder. So if it's just even remotely close, I mean, it shouldn't be as different as the Bugs Bunny one from Bugs Bunny. This is very different from Tina Turner. Not very Tina.
It's not only the thrill
Okay.
of boy
Yeah.
meeting girl, opposites attract. It's physical.
We need a comparison.
Logical.
It's all about the chorus. So let's.
You must try to ignore that it means more than
Oh.
that.
Oh, should we do it? Do I have something? Let's see.
Do you want to sound like
Wait 1 second, guys. I think I can queue up a comparison. So let's hear this chorus. One moment, I'll be right back. All right, guys. Let's. This is the moment of truth, where we want to hear the chorus here. So, let's compare this with Tina Turner, and then we can find out how the copying and emulating went, and if we should maybe abandon emulating and go back to copying.
What's love got to do with it?
So that's
What's love got to do with it?
okay. That's really different, and I would say that this is more. So this is representative of like more her home coordinations. So this is kind of, I don't know how you put it, choir soprano, section leader at your church kind of thing. but singing in neutral and never with any kind of rough effects. But if we go back to Tina Turner, so what's missing? Let's hear that again. I mean, other than the key, forget about the key. Tina Turner is using distortion in the sound. So her false folds are contributing an extra source signal that we hear. And I think she's still in neutral. Pretty sure she's still in neutral. So that's right, I guess. But I do have trouble hearing if there's metal or not when there's rough effects. So, but I'm pretty sure it's just neutral, but with some distortion on there, and maybe some fuller density, and the key's higher. But if you were really interested in singing and everything about singing, and appreciating what Tina Turner does, for instance, wouldn't you learn about distortion and then how to sing with this distortion, with this vocal effect of distortion? Would that be copying, or would that be emulating, or would that be just, that's the vocal coordination that's being used, and using that same vocal coordination is the equivalent of, I don't know, it's like playing someone's ornaments from some famous player's ornaments. You play the violin or something and you go and you steal their ornaments. That's just how that's done. Or what if the score has in it that you have to play with the wrong side of the bow or something, and you do that? Then, like, if someone else comes and plays the same score, are they copying or emulating or what? So if she wanted to take steps to make this a better rendition of What's Love Got to Do with It, well, looking after the distortion would be, it's like, okay, you get this basic skill that you don't know, and maybe you spent so long thinking about what is your natural sound, which was in the first place always unavoidable. When have you ever sung with anything other than your natural sound? It's not, no matter what, you're singing with your like, what is it otherwise? Your supernatural sound? Is it like ghosts are coming out of you or something? I don't understand. Oh, guys, sorry. I thought I was talking to you there, and it was a newbie streamer mistake. So here's the examples. Here we go.
What's love got to do with it? What's love got to do with it?
Let's listen again.
What's love got to do with it? What's love got to do with it?
Should be really clear that they sound different, but why do they sound different? Why do they sound different? Well, other than the vocal mode, the biggest thing that is like an elementary detail is that Tina Turner is singing with distortion on especially one of the main notes of the phrase. So if we listen again, Miss Rappan or whatever, I don't know, Rappanen is singing everything in neutral without any vocal effects.
What's love got to do with it? What's love got to do with it?
Tina Turner sings the first little run of the phrase clean, And then she's alternating clean singing with distortion. That's quite obviously a choice. It's not that she accidentally distorted the sound. She knows exactly how to get that sound and then how to turn it off and back on again, right? She can do that so fast that it's musical. And that's the biggest thing that's missing. Now, you would expect someone who's a trained singer and someone who's teaching voice, who's a vocal pedagogy person, that you would expect them to be able to hear that, to at least say something about it. You would expect them to know about this in the way that a percussionist knows the rudiments of playing percussion, the different ways that they can do all the things. You would expect a trumpet player to know how to use a mute. And if you put that in the score, that there's a mute that's used, and they know how to do that. The composer can expect that. That's what we should expect from a teacher of singing. Now we can see where she's at home, is more in this classical thing.
Had their tonal models.
Oh, sorry, guys.
Do you want to sound?
Eagle's wings,
So here we go.
bear you on the breath of dawn, make you to shine like
So
the
this kind of
sun.
section leader from your church, the mezzo, soprano, or alto section leader from your church kind of sound. And that's fine. That's fine if that's what you like. But if we're talking about preparing a Tina Turner song and you're treating it like it's serious music, serious enough that you would want to emulate Tina Turner, then I imagine you would want to take care of some of the most important Tina Turner isms. And if we listen again at what's wrong, it's like these are specific musical things that if you're singing contemporary music, I don't know how to teach you how to do that because I'm an opera singer, and it's not true that because I can sing classical, I can sing anything. I would have to learn all of the skills that are needed in order to prepare any piece of music, no matter what kind of music it is. And so here we have this New York school kind of classical idea that if you can sing classical, you can sing anything, and it's really obviously
What's love got
not
to do
true.
with it? What's love got to do? Got
So
to
this
do with
what
it?
has this distortion sound, and then the next note not, and the notes before didn't have this distortion. That's clearly a vocal technique, it's not just Tina accidentally doing something because she didn't know any better. Which often winds up being, if we watch more of what speech level singing teachers tend to have to say about great artists, it's always something like, yeah, they sound great, but they're not really good at what they're doing. They don't really have good technique. And their definition of technique is like this little thing that they came up with, some way for them to convince themselves that they're emulating their favorite artists, that they're secretly trying and failing to copy. We can watch one more time. I mean, I don't want to be cruel. It is a bit embarrassing, but at the same time, this is reality. And this was also what This Is Opera was doing. This is what it was. Instead of talking about Tina Turner, they talked about Caruso, and they talked about Renata Tebaldi, but the comparisons were the same.
What's love got to do with it? What's love got to do with it?
Yeah, and so that's that. And we'll take some, see if there's questions. Hey, Paul Montesanti. Oh, okay. So I guess that worked then. Well, sorry, I messed up the stream a bit there, Tiber and company, anyone who's been bearing with me here. Okay. So I may have gone over some stuff, because I'm not sure where I thought I had cut out. So, yeah. Paul, I'm just reading your comment here. Paul says, I think that's the primary insight here. A lot of older singers have never thought of distortion as a technical aspect of singing. They think it's accidental or intrinsic. Yeah, I think, Paul, that it comes from... I think it comes from teachers trying really hard to get any kind of objective anything out of the classroom. Anything, if someone can check whether you were right or whether you were wrong, they don't like it. Because the whole game is being in control of that. So if I set up a construct, which is that you need to sing with your natural sound, and then the question is, well, how will I know when I'm singing with my natural sound? And the answer is, well, I will tell you. Or it's something like, well, you'll just know. But, well, you'll just know. What that actually means is I'm going to tell you when you're singing with your natural sound. So now you've set up this construct, and you're the one you have the keys to the mansion, if you will. You have the keys to truth itself. What is real and what isn't? What is me and what is not me? You're starting to define who I am. And there's a good reason that they want that. It's logical. They make their money from voice lessons, and they would rather you keep coming back instead of they have to go and continually find new people to teach. They would rather not anyone be able to check when things are completed and when they aren't, not just because it might put them in a position of having failed at something, but because it might put them in a position of having succeeded at something. And if they succeeded at their job, the job is finished now, and you can go on and go about your business being an opera singer. You have no need for them any longer. So, vocal pedagogy, as we know it, and there's hints of it already in Garcia that we see, is about setting up some kind of perpetual relationship, some kind of dependency, some kind of dependent relationship where I need you in order to be able to sing, not just to sing, but like to be myself, to have any kind of confidence. And it may be that you're teaching me, I don't know, how to sing like Tina Turner, and nobody's close to singing like Tina Turner. But there you are doing it. So you need some way to gaslight the student, basically, to be the one in control of reality. And that was a This Is Opera thing. So Makis Bubas, you're saying, where is the other chat room? Well, I got you both here. And I see your comments behind me there. There's This Is Opera. And then there's the Mr. Opera chat room next to it. I think some of the This Is Opera fans are a little bit angry that I've been taking over the channel. But these are the kinds of people who often engage themselves in standing in the way of someone who's doing something while saying that it can't be done, but that person's actually doing it. So they should kindly consider getting out of our way, but as they do so, they're not chatting in the chat. But I'm glad that you're here, Makis, and if you have any questions about what we've been talking about, some of it is a little mind-numbing, so I apologize if you're unable to ask questions, because perhaps Miss Rapanan has lowered your intellectual capacities. I certainly feel that it's been difficult to hang on to my last few remaining brain cells as I go through her video. But I had to watch it more times than you, so... Paul, I would say that this concept of metal in the voice is maybe the classical equivalent to distortion. Although there's probably something as well for the sopranos who are trying to make a bigger sound, where they do like a twanged neutral or something out of it's like they get some of the effects of having a metallic vocal coordination. But I'm not totally clear that it's the same. But with metal, you have it or you don't. It can actually be measured. And there's a whole lot of people out there that want to find some way to fake it and they want to say that you can get, for instance, you can get it just with resonance or something, when it's not possible. you need the right shape, but then you also need the right pressure, and you need the vocal folds have to be able to get that thing going. But it's not taught, Complete Vocal Technique and the Complete Vocal Institute defined this term pretty recently. So it makes sense, classical needs to catch up. But now that we have this word, now that you can actually say, well, that's a metallic voice coordination and that's not. Okay, metal is, and that's one thing, and maybe density is a little bit more subjective because it's fuller or reduced and there's no actual measurement you can make. But still, it's a subjective thing that multiple listeners will agree on once they understand the density concept, at least within pretty close parameters. And that could be checked in the universities. So if you're a university singing teacher and your job was to get, these five male singers, and also can be female singers, singing certain pitches with a metallic coordination, then it could be that the teacher actually failed to do something, Whereas today, when you leave university and you suck at singing worse than you did when you got there, they're going to tell you something like, well, you found your natural sound. That's, can't help it. We showed you how to do it. We showed you all the right principles, and technically you're singing correctly, but that's just your natural sound. So that's the other side of this, is that now that you're unhappy with her results or with your teacher's results from New York, from, I don't know, wherever you went, or from University of Cincinnati or whatever, you're not happy with your results, and you expected something else, and your teacher failed, and whose fault is it? It's your parents' fault. It's your parents, because they copulated, and because of their copulating, you were born this way, and your natural sound is shitty singer. So, and that's terrible. It winds up being, it's her fault if she succeeds because she helped you find your natural sound. But if you fail, it's always going to be your fault because it's always going to be your natural sound. Because what else is it going to be other than your natural sound? It always was. It can't be anything else. It makes me crazy. Metaphysical is saying professional athletes have multiple coaches as long as they're active. Thoughts? I think that's what singers should do. I think that the reason we talk mostly about vocal coaches and vocal teaching is that the person doing it is a vocal coach or a voice teacher. The stuff that they tag, the stuff that they prioritize, that they say is important, is the stuff that makes them money, the stuff that they care about, and the stuff that they can they're confident they can provide it. But if you ask me to make a list of what are the most important things that I need to become a better singer in order, the teacher is not in the top 3. You know, I mean, if you're really being strict about the list, where you have to put everything, even stuff that you take for granted, stuff that you'll find in Garcia, for instance, he's talking about making sure that you have warm clothes and place to live and stuff. So that's on the list if you want to be a better singer. But then all that stuff aside, and you start getting into singing specific stuff, I would definitely put the space that you sing in above having access to this teacher or that teacher. Especially if we're talking about regular access, like weekly lessons or something. If you had, a few good hours, let's say 10 hours with someone good, and then let's say you had 90 hours left for a total of 100. And you could either have, 10 hours with someone good and 90 hours of a really great room, or you could have 90 hours with someone really good and 10 hours of a really great room. I would expect you to do better and make more progress if you put 90% of your investment into having a good space to sing in. It's not that the teacher doesn't make a difference, right? It's just that something like having a space to sing makes such a massively huge difference, and makes something like having a teacher more worth the time anyway. So that if teachers were really, really interested in doing everything they can to make people sing better, they would be thinking like you are. Metaphysical, multiple coaches in the first place. So if singing is about knowledge and fitness and heart, or let's say psychology, you need a sports coach, you need a psychologist or someone that fits that fills that role. I say heart because even though I'm a science guy, I know people are coming from religious backgrounds and other ways that they deal with, shall we say, spiritual or psychological issues. So you probably want someone on your team that is dedicated to that. And then if you want to outsource your knowledge, you can do that with the teacher. But you can also do that yourself. But I would say if you're not working with someone or finding some source to train or look after your psychology and then also your fitness, then you're not really serious about your singing. And so, yeah, I think the job, as I see it, of the voice teacher should be, 1, you provide a place for people to sing. And then 2, you try to get them access to these different coaches that they would need to put it together for themselves. So yeah, I mean that's how I feel about that. And I guess that's more or less enough for today. This has been Mr. Opera, and thanks for joining me, guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being alive. And I guess take one last look at my poor starving cat and think about copulating. She's not my cat, guys. But I feed her. Nay, we feed her. Alright, so once again, thanks for joining me on Mr. Opera, and this is Opera Takeovers. And I will see you guys soon.
Cosa faccio? Scrivo e come vivo, vivo. In povertà mia lieta, scialo da gran signore, rimedini d'amore per sogni e per chimere. Per castelli in aria l'animo miriaria saluto il mio portiere rubare tutti i gioielli due ladri gli occhi belli d'entrar con voi pur ora di miei sogni usati i miei sogni miei dosso di poiché va preso stare a perché mi conoscete parlate voi, parlate